It's all about having the key insights, following the leaders of the crypto industry and background stories on blockchain technology trends to keep you one step ahead. Monty Metzger, CEO of LCX.com, keeps you up to speed with what's moving global crypto markets and gives you the latest insights about LCX's platform and ecosystem. This is LCX Insights Live.
Welcome to LCX Insights Live. It's May 12th, 2021, and I'm happy to welcome you to this special live stream. We are again live on YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook. But please raise all your questions on YouTube. This works best, as we learned from the last couple of shows. So all your questions come to our YouTube channel. Click on the comment section and put in your questions. In our live video shows, I'm engaging with the world's top blockchain projects, entrepreneurs, investors, and pioneers in crypto and blockchain in honest conversations meant to challenge traditional ways of thinking. My name is Monty Metzger, and I'm founder and CEO at LCX. LCX is a regulated fintech company that focuses on digital asset trading, compliant token offerings, and tokenization. LCX recently received 8 blockchain-related approvals by the Liechtenstein regulator, more than any other company in the country. And Liechtenstein, as you probably might have heard, is a small country next to Switzerland and Austria, so landlocked between these two countries in the heart of Europe. Liechtenstein also received a AAA rating from Standard & Poor's. That's the highest country rating you can get. Liechtenstein has introduced the most forward-thinking legal framework for cryptocurrencies and blockchain companies, providing a legal clarity for investors, but also for all our LCX users. Ultimately, the Liechtenstein legal framework is not regulating one piece of the puzzle only, but the whole value chain of blockchain. So what's happening at LCX lately? First, we launched 2 new trading pairs of LCX token at Uniswap V3 earlier this week. Second, we announced the full support of Maker Protocol's MKR token at LCX Exchange, launching with 2 trading pairs. And third, this week, LCX reached another key milestone. We opened deposits for Euro in a very innovative way with a fiat on and off ramp powered by our partner Monerium. And we launched the first Euro trading pair just a few hours ago. So LCX Euro is now live for trading at exchange.lcx.com. So at LCX Insights Live, we are inviting leading personalities, key partners of LCX, and founders of senior management of blockchain projects listed at LCX Exchange. And today's show will be very exciting because we will be talking about blockchain, building a decentralized digital economy. Today's guest is an American entrepreneur, an investor that focuses on emerging technologies and the culinary world. He's based in San Francisco Bay Area and originates from Fort Wayne, Indiana, in the US. His focus is to develop sustainable and scalable businesses while optimizing human creative innovation. He has an academic background in anthropology, economics, and political science. He's currently the CEO and co-founder of Constellation Network. He's co-founder of Lattice Exchange and co-founder of MZ Dining Group, where he currently is in his restaurant. So MC Dining Group is led by this famous chef, Mark Zimmerman. So please welcome Mr. Benjamin Jorgensen. Where are you? Here. Hello.
Hey Monty, that was an awesome intro. Thank you. It's fun to hear all that. Congrats on all your updates. I mean, I don't think people understand how difficult it is to do what you guys are doing in terms of a fiat on ramp. Jeez.
Yes, yeah. Building it step by step. Now launching that was a big milestone, and we are pushing every day. So especially since earlier this year, really strong growth. But for all the people who are new to the stream and who are not aware of Constellation Network, can you explain what Constellation Network is and give us a short summary of what you do?
Yeah, I'll give a kind of a brief overview. Constellation is a framework that allows anyone to build a business on top of a blockchain. So a lot of what we look at is that existing blockchains are layer one solutions that aren't really built to scale, both from an economic perspective. We're starting to see this with swapping fees on Ethereum, but also scalability. And they're not really integratable into existing data infrastructures where the real world applications are built. So we're our own network. We built it from scratch. What we call an L0 base layer network that will provide convergence for L1 layers like Ethereum and Polkadot, and we have our own. We're coming out with our own currency and standard called the L0 token standard. So what comprises of Constellation is really we're an ecosystem, very similar to Polkadot, Solana, Ethereum, and the main components of our ecosystem are our community, which is amazing. They're hopefully showing up here today. We have node operators, about 80 nodes that validate all the transactions on the network. We have our wallet, the Stargazer wallet, which will also have an on-ramp coming in soon, multi-chain support coming soon, and then our DeFi play Lattice Exchange. And these components really make up our ecosystem that allows people to come into our ecosystem and engage with us. So that's kind of the skinny on what we're doing. There's so many different angles I could approach on what we're doing, but at least that gives you a high level of that we're a real ecosystem play here.
Okay, yeah, excellent. So the ecosystem is important. And I mean, today we're talking about building a decentralized digital economy. So I think ecosystem economy is even a broader phrase for that. But you've done a fantastic job of building a strong community. That's what we recognized immediately. And so with the partnership announcement, which we did, I think last month, we after that now completely finished the integration of DAG, the token of Constellation Network at LCX Exchange. So full wallet support, full native token support and everything is now there and live. So we're very excited that we could offer that. And we're now excited to look into further discussions, what we are going to do there. Now,
was it really quick, Monty? Was it an easy integration for you guys to integrate a native chain?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, our team is doing that now on a daily basis. Since earlier this year, we're integrating a couple of native tokens. But in particular, now working with Constellation was very exciting. So scalability, speed, and like easiness of integration was really something which stood out. So I think there's lots of room for additional growth on your system.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a ton. I mean, I look at like how many wallets there are. I look at our ecosystem, and the holy trinity is what I call it. You've got the wallet, you've got the DeFi play, and you've got the protocol. And when you look at like Ethereum, think if Ethereum had actually worked with MetaMask, Uniswap, and the protocol all in one, they would have accelerated their technological roadmap and been exponential to what they are today. And even they are rather big today. And so we take this mindset around this cross-functional collaboration between the Lattice Exchange, our version of Uniswap that will provide cross-chain liquidity, our wallet, the Stargazer wallet, and our protocol. And so all of the teams are very cohesive in how they do a knowledge share, because those are the main components that really make up a thriving economy, if you will.
And about building this economy, how would you define a decentralized digital economy, and what's your vision on that?
Yeah, I think the main component of one of the first components is decentralized governance, and the idea of a decentralized autonomous organization, or a DAO. So recently, like, we launched our DAO with Lattice to help kind of introduce new features and functionality, so that accretive value is actually built from the ground up for that platform. With Constellation, when we look at a decentralized organization, we look at managing the network. So our 80 node operators, there's a governance that meets weekly that determine, not only the values, but what is the direction that they want to head in? What are the values? What is the mission statement? And what projects do we want building on top of Constellation? So I think for every decentralized organization, one of the topics I hope we kind of touch here is in crypto is decentralized decision making. And that is, I think we're starting to see that there are pain points with that, but there's a new level of transparency that is expected by users of this Web3 world.
Okay, yeah, good points. I think mentioning Web3 world and like building a real decentralized internet and an internet of value are kind of the key topics and challenges. So the vision is very clear, but how to break it down and how to actually like build the infrastructure which is needed. Can you explain what is Lattice Exchange, the DAO really is? Like, how did you build that? And what's the difference to Constellation Network?
Yeah, so Lattice Exchange is a decentralized finance platform. So we're creating a one-stop shop financial ecosystem where people can collateralize crypto assets like BTC and ETH and receive a USD loan. They'll be able to back early projects on our Lattice Launchpad. And then ultimately coming out later this year will be cross-chain swapping. So the ability to not just swap within one ecosystem like Uniswap does with Ethereum, but be able to swap to different ecosystems. And all of that it will eventually be built on Constellation's hypergraph. This is our scalable decentralized network that has 0 transaction fees. So if you go into your MetaMask right now, and if you have MetaMask and you do a swap, you'll see that fees are anywhere from $90 to $300 to swap between different tokens. These fees are astronomical. And so you think about, when you talk about scalability, you need to also think about the economic scalability for applications to exist and to have more freedom to do with what you want with your money or your currency. And so a lot of our vision with Lattice would be the first application that people could really understand the value of having a feeless ecosystem like hypergraph. And so the focus really with Lattice is to kind of highlight some of the features and functionalities that a scalable protocol can be built on and eliminate fees. By having a 0 fee network, actually gives any application builder, anybody that wants to build on our network, the freedom to decide the economics of their application. So something like Lattice will be very different than Uniswap, which is tied to Ethereum gas fees. Lattice will ultimately will enable governance to decide what fees should exist for swapping, so that in times of high network utility, that the fees don't necessarily go up, they can keep lower to invite more liquidity to exist. So technology scalability, decentralized governance can all weigh into how we want to see the future of our businesses.
Okay, it's great to see all your lively community already putting in here rockets and love Black and everything. So it seems to be a real fan community, strong user base, and that's what we also noticed the moment we opened deposits for DAC. We saw that there's a huge interest of another
Cool.
trading venue, and especially now as we are regulated cryptocurrency exchange in Europe, that's something where there are not so many. So you can really have now a trusted and secure additional trading platform. And I think that's what users want. And I will be picking a couple of things. So here's a comment from Dagnum. DAG Hypergraph is going to take over everything. But what is Hypergraph really? Can you explain that in a couple of sentences as well?
Yeah, the hypergraph is a decentralized network that's built for scalability and high throughput needs. It is built using an architecture called a directed acyclic graph. It works on or is governed by a concurrent consensus mechanism. So that's two consensus mechanisms that one validate the local state and then validate the entire network state. And so those two components make up the technical architecture, and that third layer is our node operators make up the entire distributed network. Our cryptocurrency DAG runs across the rails of this network today. And in the future, which we've already started bringing on projects, L0 tokens will be our own token standard that will be minted on the hypergraph and validated on the hypergraph network. So that makes up the hypergraph.
And then there's another question. Talk about the DoD contract. What's that about?
Yeah, so one of our, so as we kind of paint this picture around businesses built on a blockchain, what we're really starting to define are that business needs mean a lot of data. Modern day businesses are creating tons of data, whether it's collecting data from your point of sale, from marketing, from digital advertising, and the cookies that people bid on. All our entire world and every industry is run by data. This is business of the future. And one of the largest businesses that works with data is the Department of Defense. They use a ton of data. They're the largest data producers, but they also rely on digital infrastructures to provide contracts, identify where their enemy is, understand how to supply support to different agencies or people, analyzing systems. So one of the big things that we work on behind the scenes are working with the Department of Defense to identify their big data initiatives. So how they share data between different agencies to make, which actually comprises of their business. So when we talk about businesses built on a blockchain, what we're really talking about is the business of data that everybody is using to create more sound digital businesses.
So the business of data sounds pretty like a big vision, because of course there's the Internet of Information, Google, the biggest data collector, and then also as a search engine, obviously kind of a monopoly, or very, very strong at least. What influence really does blockchain have on the future of data and data distribution? Will there be a decentralized future, or will it still be kind of in centralized powers like we see now?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting that we're all seeing right now is that we're having these moments of like, well, what is being done with our data? Facebook gives us this free platform. Everything's been free, but yet they're, a $200 billion market cap company. Google, everything's free, and we're opting into all these things. Well, the technology industry has made leaps and bounds into defining our perception of value through data. And a lot of that is they are taking our data, our actions, and using all their free services to make predictions on what we're going to do next. And sometimes they sell this to advertisers, and that's why they are the biggest behemoth. And so I think the world is waking up to, what are people doing with my data that they're allowed to create these free platforms and be these multi-billion-dollar organizations? So the power of blockchain and really decentralized governance has an opportunity to start saying, hey, I don't want you doing that with my data, or I don't think the value exchange is fair. I want to receive some of your profits that you're making off of my insights, my actions. And maybe even, hey, I don't really like what is in my news feed. I don't like how I'm delivered news because my perception of reality is constantly changing. So the power of blockchain has the ability to validate that data and understand where it's going and how it's being used, and giving power back to the people over their data.
And I think there's a saying, with power comes also big responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think as we are building a decentralized digital economy, power is also more distributed and decentralized than ever before. And that's exciting when we look at the DAOs system with decentralized autonomous organizations, but also kind of blockchain networks which really function fully decentralized. And this would ultimately mean that we could probably also democratize power, democratize access to financial services.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
what's really exciting for me. But let's pick another question here. That's from Mike Davis. Wouldn't the hypergraph be the perfect solution to the ransomware attacks shutting down supply chains right now?
Yeah, it's actually a really big topic of conversation that just hit us, and of course, like all of our DoD contacts reached out to us and are like, "Hey, we got to create a solution around this." This is exactly this is one major use case that we set out to identify, which is identifying threat vectors on our infrastructure, employee data, supply chain data. All of these things are susceptible to attacks.
Mhm.
And the way that we see how to circumvent these attacks is through autonomous networks, right? Because there is no one central point of failure, and instead it requires an entire network to reach consensus. So our concurrent consensus mechanism was actually built with this in mind. And the way that you deploy this concurrent consensus mechanism is directly into these digital infrastructures at the point of creation. So our whole mentality was to provide developer tools that would put the ability to validate any sort of threat vectors that are occurring on certain attacks like this.
Okay, yeah, good point. I think protecting users and like protecting against ransomware attacks, that will be big topic. And I think making blockchains more secure
Yeah.
is another one. But now thinking about a decentralized digital economy as we are in now, I would say a key topic is really for entrepreneurs and systems. We had been always looking at this centralized hub called Silicon Valley, but now, you're based there, San Francisco Bay Area and so on. We are in Liechtenstein, heart of
Mhm.
Europe. I see big dynamics coming out of Asia as well. How is the Constellation network community being split up? Is it also very US centric, or what's the status quo?
Yeah, I mean, with every, well, one, our core organization is distributed. We're not all in San Francisco.
Mhm.
We have people in Mexico, New York City, Colorado, the Netherlands, let's see, Vietnam, Germany. Like we're very distributed at this point, which I love to see, and I see how effective we all can be and share really abstract ideas together. Our community, one of the things that we identified with the Constellation community was that it was very American and European centric. So when we launched Lattice, our intention was to broaden our footstep
Mhm.
into Asia. And I would say that a lot of the momentum and success with Lattice has been really navigating the Asian countries as well. So I'm totally a big believer in decentralization and the different thought process. I think that's probably the anthropologist in me, is that I love to see what different cultures can bring to the narrative of every organization.
Yeah, I think the different cultures also bring in different ideas, and then basically drives innovation. It's very at the core of any innovation culture. Yeah, that's right. And but now looking at your DAO, how you do actually do decision making, what are the differences from your other for-profit company, Constellation Network, and how do you separate both?
Yeah, so we have multiple entities within Constellation. So we kind of divide and conquer on what the mission is. So when it comes to decentralized governance, the network is truly decentralized. We have a main net, it's launched, it's running. There is a decentralized organization that meets every week. And the way that we, well, actually, the structure of the governance actually came from the community. So a lot of what the core of the core Constellation, the way we operate, is that we kind of set the intention, the framework, the mission, the initial idea, and then we let it kind of brainstorm and nurture, and we support the broader group to come up and actually add more value to the organization. So the way that we look at Constellation is through three pillars. The first pillar being the technology layer. So this provides a lens on what our technology is, who is it being built for, and what are the technological benefits. The second pillar is around the business. What are business use cases and applications that are really fit for our protocol, and how do they design a tokenomics that's more advanced than what we've seen in Ethereum? Once again, going down to the business of blockchain or business of data, existing business cannot do a simple tokenomics on distribution. Existing businesses that have real world customers have to have lengthy thought process of true economies. And so we define that as our business pillar. And our third pillar is around community, because community is the backbone to this entire operation existing. It's why we've always focused on community. And that's why we gave node operators, we gave nodes to our community versus to enterprise organizations from the get-go. Many organizations like Hedera Hashgraph and a few others set out and said, hey, we want the node operators to be all enterprise organizations. And we said, so you just raised all this money from all these people in the crypto community, and now you've completely isolated it to people that have nothing to do with blockchain. And we took the opposite approach, which was to give back to our community. And so these pillars really kind of set the stage of the different lens that make up Constellation, and really they are the ones that help accelerate the growth through those different lenses.
Okay, so different lenses. Also mentioned Hedera Hashgraph, and there's actually a question here in regards to that. So let me find it. Yeah, here. So from Fabio, what's the difference between Constellation and Hedera?
Yeah, I'm not really in the business of sitting here doing comparisons of other people's projects. I mean, I would say go do your own research on that. We're focused on some real world business problems. I've worked with every agency in the government to some extent. I've never heard their name mentioned once. I've heard Ethereum and Hyperledger, and that's where they've spent a lot of their creativity. So I would say that one of the main differences is kind of just what I brought to their attention was the way they approach decentralized governance through the lens of enterprise versus the lens of community. And I think that those are vastly two different tracks on what you're building for.
Yeah, good point. So community is key. That's what we also learned from your project. But your second pillar, which you mentioned, is business. So and there's a business related question. There are, so from Free Mover at Ben, there are already 54 submissions to build on Constellations. Which one are you most excited about? Which ones did you surprise you the most?
Yeah, I mean, this has been pretty exciting for us, and we really, ultimately the project submissions, once our state channels and Hypercube, which is kind of our user interface for people to build easy applications on, is released, I think we'll see less people wanting to submit their projects. But what we're seeing through the project submission is kind of where people's mindset is and understanding of the Constellation network and our approach. What I've started to see come through are a lot of cybersecurity solutions. There's also a lot of healthcare solutions and working with healthcare data. And a lot of the applications are around data and what we can do around making data more transparent. So I feel like our message is really being hit. Our whole team, including the different pod leads in our governance, have been overwhelmed by the quality of submissions. And as such, we're going to unveil some interesting things next week on how to navigate a lot of these ideas and put them through a maturation process for the future. So it's really cool to see what people are thinking of, because they're starting to think of the evolution of businesses on a blockchain. These are not solutions that you would ever see connecting into a smart contract. Our first, one of the first companies that we kind of incubated outside of working with the DoD is a project called Alchemy Exchange. And Alchemy Exchange, when we first started talking with them, they really kind of understood what we were doing in terms of actually porting an entire industry onto a blockchain. And so what's exciting for me with Alchemy is that their whole focus is to take the real-time bidding of ads, the real exchange of digital advertising, and basically putting a DeFi stamp on it. They're taking the principles of DeFi and applying it to an ad exchange. It's a brilliant business that's not just, hey, can we track an asset as it moves from A to B to C? We're seeing NFT stuff where people have like, oh, we got this NFT idea and we want to trade stuff, but what about the data that comprises of that NFT? And what happens when it's transferred? And what are the elements that make up? What are the mechanics, the business mechanics that are unlocked within NFT? All of these things are ushering in a completely new thought process on how business is going to be conducted in the future.
And there's another related question to that. So Ben from DS, is it mainly new startups applying to run on DAG, or are there also established big names in the mix?
Yeah, we have a lot of established big names that are coming to the mix that we've been nurturing through the process, which kind of helps us create what we call like a scorecard for people that apply. So in some track, and we have a couple of tracks. One is through kind of white glove hand-holding incubation. We have projects that already know what they need. They're not looking for funding. They're just looking for us to help them build and get off the ground. And then we have a lot of startups that are coming to us with their ideas. And then a fourth bucket are a lot of people that are having issues with the Ethereum network and want to look at scalability as well. So it's really kind of a mix of everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Great question.
Let's just pick another one here from Ilu Zhu. What are the risks by giving the community nodes? You mentioned you had been giving out nodes to community starting Constellation Network. Is there or are there any risks or threats?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of the risks and threats have been circumvented by our proof of reputational observations, which is our consensus mechanism. And by us running concurrent consensus mechanisms, we avoid some of the pain points of proof of work and proof of stake. Namely that, just because you're a large holder, you don't ultimately dictate the control of the network. So over time, your reputation is being built. That's the whole idea, is that your uptime, how you participate in consensus, all kind of give you a rating or your score. And then we use that score to randomize the consensus process amongst the various nodes. So the consensus mechanism in itself is another layer of security. And so, but I would say one of the risks are with every network is a node pulling out and then being done and not participating. So we've done a lot of things to mitigate that. Like we have a tax. So each node has a 10% tax on the rewards they receive, and that goes into a pool called the Stardust Collective, which we're actually creating a budget on how we want to use those accrued taxes over time. And so the longer you stay in, the more you have kind of a voice into this. And one of the big things that we're introducing over the next year are merged mining concepts. So anybody that's building an L0 project on Constellation will ultimately be trying to attract or campaign for liquidity from node operators and other holders of DAG. So all these components kind of really create the gamification of our network that it's a mix of technological aspects as well as marketing aspects that keep everybody engaged.
So now everybody can trade DAG at LCX Exchange. We offer 2 trading pairs, one LCX also. Ben, what gets you excited about DAG being listed at LCX?
Yeah. I love this question. I've really been ready for it, Monty, and I really love what you're doing. A lot of the uh, exchange partners that we look at are regulatory compliant and are moving in that direction. And so I kind of turned some of these questions onto you all. Is that what I'm seeing in kind of one aspect is that, man, I had a call with a exchange the other day that's been around forever, and they were proud that they listed Dogecoin, and I was like, welcome to crypto. It's like, how are you this large exchange, you just listed Dogecoin? But one of the things that I'm seeing, the opportunity that LCX has, and being kind of this next generation of exchanges, is that you have a chance to listen to the community. A lot of these tier one exchanges don't really listen to the community. They just go off of what their centralized board says they should list, and they're not listening to the community. And they're not really adding new features and functionality based on the community. There's such a large aspect to involve the community to help not only build more value in your organization. So working with LCX to me is fascinating, because you have the chance to you don't have all the baggage that all these centralized exchanges have, and you have a chance to kind of listen to the community. Like you said, hey, we noticed that Constellation has a large community. Our community wanted to list you. Like, isn't that how it should be? Like, shouldn't it be?
Yes, yeah.
Right. So I'm actually really curious as how you guys are kind of revolutionizing the exchange space, not just from a regulatory standpoint, but how you aim to look at community, which ultimately invites more liquidity to your platform and brings in new features and functionalities that are vastly evolving versus many of these existing exchanges.
Yes, yeah. Actually, we're taking it and in step by step, and now pushing for further growth. We first of all, we worked 2 years to build a platform from scratch, really with a super fast market making system where you have the order book, and then also the whole exchange underlying technology with market algorithms and so on. Then the second key element is that it's fully compliant, meaning that we had to build a crypto compliance suite, which is ready now for the FATF laws, for probably what SEC is introducing. And it's ready what is called the MiCA, the markets for crypto assets in Europe, which will come out like in 1 or 2 years. And the reason why we're ready for this is that Liechtenstein had this innovative legal structure already today. And now all the other regulators are spying or looking into these law structures and getting inspired by it. So we are like years ahead in terms of this basis and infrastructure. And now what we are building up is the second part, is we gained these approvals by the regulator in last December. And now in January, we launched LCX Exchange as a centralized spot exchange. And with that, we are now listing additional assets, so including DAG. Then there's LTX, your lattice exchange token is on the pipeline to be launched as well. Now we integrate first fiat on ramp with a tokenized euro. So that's actually coming from our partner Monerium. So the way this works is people are wiring with a SEPA bank payment money to a bank account. The moment it hits the account, it's converted into a token, and the system detects that the euro had been put on the bank account, and then there's a minting generation. So we actually put the token or put that euro immediately on chain, and then this tokenized euro is going into the LCX exchange in your wallet. That's what the users see. And it's actually, we don't call it stable coin or something, it's euro, because in Europe, we have the e-money laws, which are there since a decade or longer, enabling truly a digital version of currencies, of fiat currencies already today. And that's what Monerium have been doing, and that's the first implementation now at LCX Exchange. It's super fascinating to see, so you can watch it on a smart contracts, how people deposit or even withdraw because it's all on chain now. And it can be super fast. So if you're a SEPA Instant user, so some bank accounts like Revolut, for example, support SEPA Instant, which is a standard in Europe. And then the moment from sending euro to LCX exchange is less than 10 minutes. And that's super, super exciting for everybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's like another step, and now we are growing. Like liquidity is something we are working on, putting on some market makers now, step by step, working with projects like you. And in that regard, we are still tiny, but you can see a super high trust score on CoinGecko, like a trusted community, and we are now growing. So end of the year will be very exciting for us, because every week we're coming out with some new innovations.
I think it's, that's awesome. Congrats to you guys. I think you all are doing it right. And there's so many small exchanges out there that are conducting these IEOs that are fake. They're not distributing tokens to the community. They're dumping on early projects, and their business model is short-sighted, right? Like, their business model is to really get the scam within the first 24 hours of listing, and then they're done. And it's really sad to see this, because so many people are victims to these scams, not only projects, but also people that back it, that are excited about the future. And so the exciting thing in working with LCX is, one, it's a clear path for our L0 projects to build a L0 token, to be listed on LCX. And we know that those projects are going to get taken care of and not get hit with an IEO scam in the back end. The other fun thing I think about LCX and Constellation working together is that, I'm looking forward to building a state channel with you all, where we can actually provide trade transparency from LCX and be able to put that on our chain, and provide that back to the community, almost like a DeFi element to a centralized exchange. So I mean, there's so many fun things that I see in this next tranche of new exchanges coming out that will make the old exchanges just antiquated. Just like there's no transparency in centralized exchanges. You don't really know what the order books look like. And wash trading's going on. All these like terrible practices that just crush projects. So.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the top rankings of exchanges, there are so many inside who have fake volume, fake users, and then and as a token project, you get listed, but they basically just want the token project to deposit additional funds or like engage with you, and then all it's gone. And the worst what could happen, which also happened to us with LCX token, we got listed at an exchange, and then people couldn't withdraw anymore. So there were problems and whatever. And then they came back to us, and we did not even intentionally list there. It was just happening. But we want to protect our users from these things. So and so the future of like next generation of exchanges, really getting this innovation which is out there with DeFi, and of course like new trading system and platform and global markets, but into a playing ground where we can ensure that the investors and users are still like they're protected, and that they can trust these platforms. That's the kind of the big transitions which is happening right now.
Well, I think it's awesome. And, one of the things that really sticks out into this partnership, and why it's, starts here with these listings, is that we can even start talking about interoperability between a DeFi platform like Lattice and a centralized platform like LCX with many different currencies, so that we can, trade liquidity as needed. I mean, there's some really amazing things that are coming into the future in 2022 that will really evolve this entire industry.
Absolutely. And related to that, there's a question here from Chris Cairns. With craziness of huge fees on ETH, on Ethereum blockchain, it's really urgent to find a cheaper alternative for transfers. Can LCX and Constellation be part of the solution to provide a cheaper blockchain? What would you answer?
Yeah, we talked about that in the beginning. That's like our big problem that we're solving right now
Yeah.
with lattice exchange is being cross-chain swapping, and our whole goal is to be the global liquidity hub, where you do have low transaction fees. That the fees are actually dictated by the governance. That the governance of lattice can go in and decide what those fees are. That they're not so variable, and that people aren't getting gouged by it. So those are things that Constellation was built for, right? Some people give us a lot of heat for not having a gas fee because, for whatever reason, but the whole idea was to not have a fee so that people could build applications that they envisioned and create sustainable business models that aren't volatile. Like, so many traditional businesses cannot build with a blockchain because of a $500 gas fee to track an asset. Like, it doesn't even make business sense. So why would the whole industry evolve? Like, these are really big visions that start with economic scalability, technical scalability, and then providing outlets for regulation for people that want it, while also providing kind of decentralized governance to decide how they want to see platforms build.
Yeah. So the evolution of platforms, evolution of exchanges, and evolution of both coming together, I think that's what needed, because this usability at Uniswap, for example, with just like one-click swapping, but the fees are sometimes outperforming any returns of investments, especially if you're doing like smaller investments, $100 or so, and then there's $50 fee. That's not sustainable. So at LCX exchange, you can trade DAC at very low fees and enjoy some trading activity over there. Another question: can we have some insights from Benjamin Coker? Can we have some insights on how DAC and LCX are working together?
I feel like we just covered that. We've got listing of DAG and LTX. We have a path for people building on Constellation, building an L0 token standard, a path for them to list on a reputable regulated exchange. And we're exploring making LCX not only a node operator, but a state channel where we can make trading activity more transparent for people. The DeFi of centralized exchanges in a way.
It's a good summary of the kind of product goals we are developing. And now, like, taking another insights on that, how do we work together? Actually, how do we do that? So first of all, it's a partnership and a commitment. And as the whole community here and the viewers can see, it's a commitment on high level. So on founder level, on CEO level, both Benjamin and me are fully committed to that. And it's not something which is short term, but really like a long term commitment where we want to develop something together across the globe, from San Francisco to Europe and to your Asian community as well. Then how do we do that?
Well
so
said.
Our technical team had been working to get the wallets up and running. We had been integrating DAC and the DAC blockchain, Constellation Networks blockchain, into the LCX ecosystem. So it's not only here on founder level, but also on the technical team had been working together. And I think as a next step, we're going deeper. So there will be regular tech update calls. We are doing brainstormings. We are exchanging insights and knowledge on what we could do from kind of combining both worlds, because LCX is driving our ecosystem and platform on a daily basis. You are doing that on a blockchain level. And I think getting one-on-one together is really three at the end of the day, if you count it.
Yeah, no, I think you said it so well, and I appreciate you saying that. I mean, I think there's so much potential if you have like a blockchain actually working with a centralized exchange, and while incorporating elements of DeFi, like you have a real opportunity to carve out the future, which has taken a long time for crypto to mature. And in some ways, it hasn't taken much, but the way that we're kind of collaborating is a way that's going to push the envelope. And I go back to what I said in the beginning. Had Uniswap and MetaMask and Ethereum all like been in the same sandbox, playing, getting along, figuring it out, where would their technological adoption roadmap be today? That's what we're doing. And we're working with the centralized exchange to kind of define the trends that are occurring in crypto trading and what people are looking for. There are a lot of advanced products out there in the trading of crypto. Like, this is a good time. It's a really awesome partnership that I got to say I've been looking for years, where we can start to trade these ideas and what's coming out and what projects do we want to list, what do we want to support,
Yes.
what are the communities saying, what do they want to see in terms of new features and functionalities across these platforms.
So functionalities and cross-platform development is key for that. But in our, like, I had the honor to be invited to your Hypergraph hour lately, so that was fun to join as well, and to talk about your kind of current burning topics. And during that Hypergraph hour, you mentioned Lattice Launchpad. Can you explain what is Lattice Launchpad? What's the vision? Where do we stand?
Yeah, I mean, so that, that's pretty interesting. So Lattice Launchpad is kind of one is going to be a place where LTX holders can come in, stake LTX to essentially mine an allocation to back a project. And once they receive a confirmation that they got an allocation, then they transfer funds to the company to help them back. And so Lattice Launchpad has its own project submission form. So if you are an ERC20 token or you're building on DAG, you can submit your project, and we're starting to review those projects. That just launched 2 days ago. We're also kind of in the path to success. We have 53 projects that have submitted their ideas. The idea here is that once those projects get to a mature place, we have our own unique pipeline for projects that will be listed on Lattice Launchpad, which acts as kind of a way for the retail backer, for not just big whales, but for anybody to really get into an allocation. Some of these very small allocated rounds like Alchemy and several other projects as well that we've kind of got queued up. And then the idea is that once they've kind of secured their funding, that they have an outlet like LCX to list their token and have a strong community behind that with good fundamentals.
Okay, so fundamentals are key to every growth. And I think the community wants to know now, what's your roadmap? What are the key bullet points for later this year and the coming months? Can you explain what's up on Constellation Network?
Yeah, thanks for queuing that in, Monty. As I mentioned, I think you're going to hear a lot more from our organization that talks about the Holy Trinity from a product perspective. We are advancing our wallet, Stargazer wallet, to do multi-asset support. It's going to have an on-ramp coming soon from fiat to DAG, then multi-asset support. And then we're going to start releasing certain aspects of the second part of the Holy Trinity, which is Lattice Exchange. We're going to be introducing Lattice Launchpad and Lattice Lending at the end of the month and in early June. And then on that third pillar of the Holy Trinity is advancements in the protocol. So opening testnet up for people to build out L0 tokens and use the L0 standard and Hypercube. And so all of those, you start to see a window of everything that we're pushing, and we're going to really kind of emphasize this because once again, you think about where a lot of exchange and trading activity that's occurring these days is happening on Uniswap, and it's happening within MetaMask, and it's happening on Ethereum. We're going to replicating that similar model as well. And then another big component is ushering these projects that are submitting ideas, that want to build, and helping them navigate their entrepreneurial journey. As you mentioned in my intro, which is like helping entrepreneurs kind of find their potential and optimization, we want to do that from a technical standpoint. We want to do that from a community standpoint, is to navigate companies through their entrepreneurial path. Like, I've gone through the mud on a lot of this stuff. I've gotten punched and I've gotten back up, and so we're going to start introducing a lot of the projects that want to build on us. We want to introduce them to our advisors. We want to coach them on how to market a cryptocurrency, and we want to get their white paper business deck to a point that really articulates a problem and is not just a ERC20 PR stunt. And then have a path to kind of listing with a regulated body. Like those are the essential pieces for projects to be successful. So that kind of takes our focus over the next 6 months to end a year.
Yes, I think the regulatory body, what you said, that's something we are really in deep discussions at the moment on how we could leverage the infrastructure which we have in Europe with LCX legal infrastructure, combining that with Lattice Launchpad and making it available immediately to all your projects applying over there to get a token sale in a compliant manner and in a secure manner that like nobody has to worry about losing their funds or having any issues there. At the end of the day, you know, we're very fully transparent on a lot of things. So we have an office address, we have a team which is behind. We are regulated and observed also by the regulator on all blockchain manners, because now blockchain and crypto is part of the law structure in Liechtenstein. And then the last aspect is all due diligence aspects are as strict as any other bank. So if you're signing up to a neobank, the same process you have to go through at LCX. And we're very proud to now have a very, very efficient KYC and investor onboarding process. And
awesome.
Probably two updates which the community has noticed. We've completely updated our investor process with the selfie functionalities. We had some issues, and the community had been complaining, oh, it's not working, something like that. So we had a very high failure rate there at the beginning, and we improved the system, worked with the biometric companies who are supporting out on that, and launched something which is now super intuitive, a nice new user interface to really speed up the process there. And now I think we brought down the whole registration process from 5 minutes to roughly 2.5, 3 minutes, depending on how quick you can hold your passport and camera. But it's very quick, and that's what's needed if you do a compliant token sale, because what the SEC, for example, is also about is that, first of all, it's not registered. We can fully register it as a token issuer in Liechtenstein, so registration of the token sale. Second is that you did not identify the investors who are buying, and that's something we do. And once it's issued, then it can be like use the full potential of blockchain and can be freely traded. But the issuing, that's the thing where regulators are worried that people might lose their funds or are getting into projects which are not properly set up. And that's now, I think, the good thing around here. So, but
that's awesome. Congrats on all of those. I mean, I think that for the community, it's like how difficult these things are to do the right way. Which excites me about LCX is that you all have a huge potential to capture institutional capital that's scared to go on Binance or some of these others, and really capture a lot of volume and interest. So that will be exciting to see that come alive.
What we now see, if we look at CoinGecko, for example, and go to Constellation DAC token, we see that KuCoin is your kind of a strongest trading pair at the moment, and then there's LCX as well. So LCX exchange is now right below KuCoin. I think in liquidity and volume, it's not there yet. One key aspect is really there's no wash trading on our exchange, so we I want to encourage the community to deposit DAC token at the LCX exchange and get traded. There's also good arbitrage opportunities there. But then also we are working closely now with you as a team to engage in the market making, building up a proper order book. And then on top of that, we will be now announcing additional market making partner who are institutional investors who will be starting at LCX Exchange. So our goal is to bring the trading volume to 10 million in daily trading volume on as soon as possible. We recently reached 1.5 million and 1 million on one day. Now we dropped again a little bit, but we are building up constantly with that. And one question in regards to that, where I want to take the opportunity today to answer a little bit, is in regards to LCX from Simo. What is QMM and what is special about it? Can you give us some insights? You said something about being able to set your own risk. So let me quickly explain that. So QMM stands for quantitative market making. And it's basically combining this innovation field of which you see of automated market making at Uniswap and other decentralized exchanges into a centralized spot exchange. And defining your own risk is a little bit like what you've seen on the Uniswap V3 version, where people can set a range of where they want to deposit their funds. In our way, it will be a kind of a different levels of risk, where I say that's the percentage of volatility I want to accept in my risk structure. So it goes in both ways, that you can set a percentage instead of going up, but also same going down. And then it's combining depositing or stacking deposits and funds into this QMM system, which then will be automatically deployed across the LCX exchange, and also DAG pairs, where then users can profit in earning fees from that smart algorithm. That's something which we had been working on for some time, and now with the next big update, product update of LCX exchange, that's coming, and also coming to the DAG pairs.
That's awesome, Monty. Thank you.
So now I think let's see what else is here in terms of the questions. So last chance, if you have a question. So one question in regards to the listing from DS Ben, there is no ignoring the fact that only having KuCoin list DAG and LCX is a huge barrier to entry to our community for a large majority of the market. Why is there little to no concern about this?
We are a regulated company in the United States, and we don't talk about exchange listings until they happen.
Yeah. But I think that like making it available for the community is a key topic. And as your regulated company being in the US, it's important to have a trusted and fair trading venue. So even if we are smaller than KuCoin, we are secure and compliant and bringing also like improved customer service to our users. So that's super important. Now I think it's time to wrap up this session. And my question to you really is, what are the key 3 trends you see for the industry and for crypto as a whole?
Yeah, I think there's a massive shift happening towards financial services, that people want to secure the money they've made in trading and backing projects, and maybe won't have the risk appetite that they did a year ago, but are looking for advanced financial products that allow them to earn a stable interest that acts as kind of a financial management of their own wealth that they've created. So wealth management, I think, is going to be a huge play. I also see that there's going to be more interoperability between these chains as we start to bring in real world solutions on a blockchain that are scalable, and these ecosystems like Solana, Polkadot, really evolving what businesses are built on. The cross-functional components will allow for the entire space to flourish. I also think that there's going to be more activity, trade activity through the wallets. I think every company is going to start really making these wallets kind of a Swiss Army knife, where most actions are conducted throughout the wallet. and they're able to discover new projects. They're really be able to do everything. I think about it like you had a desktop computer and you were like, wow, I can do everything. I can access the internet, do all my applications. And then the phone came out, and now we do everything on the phone. And I think the same thing's kind of happening here. Is like we thought that many of these exchanges were going to be the one-stop shop, and the evolution is really kind of interoperable mix between different applications and different services, while everything kind of originates in the wallet. So I think that from the crypto standpoint, from the evolution of business applications on blockchain, I think we're going to see a lot more around data monetization for the end consumer. People being able to decide who does what with their data and be able to monetize that in a cryptocurrency, because more people, more retail investors are using crypto, that they're getting comfortable with earning these random rewards that actually have some sort of financial meaning. So, yeah.
Good point. Yeah, good point. So to summarize, your key trends are like access to wealth management. You said interoperability across blockchains and data monetization, or let's say power to the people, like giving them access to their own data and then decide what's going to happen. Super, super powerful thoughts. And I was very honored and excited to have you here on this LCX Insights Live today.
What about yours, Monty? What are your thoughts? I would love to hear yours. You're coming from a completely different viewpoint.
Okay, yeah, good point. I can certainly answer that. So what are the key trends I see currently in the market? So first of all, I really do see that we have a momentum of market reach and market adoption. With all the news out there, Coinbase app being #1 on the App Store since today in the US, major milestone. People want to get into crypto. They want to learn, but it's complex. Yes, there's so many blockchains out there, so many systems. So this educational part is important. So, but first, access. Second trend I see, access to financial infrastructure. If you go to India, if you go to Africa, there are so many people who are unbanked still. And even if they have a banking account, it's so basic that they can't even send money to their friends or families outside of the country. The systems they have are so limited. And then the third aspect is probably global markets. And that's what's so exciting about blockchain and crypto as a whole. So we see this decentralization of the crypto and blockchain economy. So even if the team is from San Francisco, the companies are now in Switzerland, in Crypto Valley, or registered in Liechtenstein. We see that it doesn't really matter where your office is, or some companies don't even have a full-time headquarter anymore, like Coinbase. So they have distributed teams and a distributed work culture. But even more important for investors is that you will be soon able to access any financial instrument or any financial investment vehicle on the blockchain. So tokenizing every financial aspect and every financial instrument. So I always say everything that can be tokenized will be tokenized, which ultimately means that if you're in San Francisco, you are able to invest into a company starting in Bangalore in India, in Perth in Australia, or in the Philippines. And that's something which had not been there before. So opening up liquidity, funding to all these great entrepreneurs which are out there, enabling a marketplace for innovation and thrive. So that's what
Awesome.
excites me, really. Yeah.
Awesome. I couldn't agree more with you. I truly see it already happening.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Ben.
Yeah.
We have to wrap it up. Already 1 hour, 10 minutes, 10
Yeah,
minutes over time. So thank you all for watching. I think we had a very, very good audience. Seeing the analytics across YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Everybody had been watching on these. So thanks for watching. Was really great. And thank you, Ben. Have a good day and hope to connect soon.
You as well. Thank you from this orange room that I'm in right now. So, yeah, this has been really awesome, Monty. Thank you for your professionalism, your team's work. You guys have been really incredible to work with, and thanks to your community for wanting to see this show. So it was a pleasure to be invited. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is LCX Insights Live. For more insights, please visit lcx.com/insights and follow us on Twitter @LCX. Onwards.